What's up, everyone? Welcome to Target Focused Life. Today, we're taking a look at one of the most requested shotguns over the life of this channel. It is none other than the Retay Masai Mara. A lot of requests for this. I'm finally getting to it. I'm super stoked. Let's see what this gun's made of and dive in deep. You ready? Let's go! So the Masai Mara has a lot of unique features that they really brag up. Today we're gonna dive in deep and see, is it worth the hype? Is it worth the price? I'm excited. It's a cool gun right off the bat. But what is its purpose? This is a 3.5-inch gun, kind of tailored towards waterfowl hunting for the most part. Will it be a good clay gun as well? We will see. But if you look at their marketing material, Retay says that this is packed with features that make it go bang every time. I didn't know that was a problem with a lot of shotguns not going bang every time, but maybe they're referring to reliability. We'll definitely look at that. They also claim that the features on this gun make it the most serviceable, user-friendly, field serviceable, I should say, shotgun on the market. We shall see. Let's dive right into specs. First, taking a look at this shotgun, the MSRP, this particular model, the Masai Mara in the Bold series or Cerakoted is $1669. If you go with like a synthetic version, just a plain black, it's a little bit less than that. A lot of different varieties, a lot of different options in camo, Cerakote, color options, turkey. They really provide a lot of different options in the Masai Mara. This particular one is a 12 gauge that we're looking at today. It is also available in 20 gauge. The 12 gauge models are all 3.5 inch. As a lot of you know, I'm not a huge fan of the 3.5 inch. It is not necessary with the ammo that we have today. The 20 gauge is a 3-inch model, of course. The Masai Mara runs on the inertia operating system. Actually, Retay calls it the inertia plus. Why is it plus? We'll dive into that, but basically they've redesigned the inertia bolts, kind of based on that Benelli design. The patent expired on that a little while ago. That's why you see so many manufacturers running a very similar bolt design as the Benellis do. But what they claim with this one is that it will lock into battery. Some of these inertia bolts, a lot of them, I've even noticed this, if you kind of hit them like that, they don't go fully into battery and you will not get a shot to go off. So that's a reliability piece. We'll look more at that here down the road. As far as the weight of this shotgun, on the website it says that it's 7 pounds, 4 ounces. But let's put it on the scale and find out, because often I find that manufacturers' websites are a little different than what I get on the scale. This one's pretty close, 7 pounds, 6.4 ounces. Now taking a look at the dimensions of this shotgun, starting with length of pull. On their website, their length of pull is 14.37 inches. What is 0.37? Convert that to fractions of an inch. I can't stand when manufacturers do that. Retay is not the only one that does that, but it drives me crazy. Looks like I'm getting 14 3/8. Yep, a little bit short for me. Now, when it comes to length of pull, I couldn't find anywhere on their website where it said that you could adjust the length of pull, that they sell spacers or have anything. Nothing came in the box. I'm sure there's aftermarket ways that you could adjust length of pull, and that's what I would have to do if I was gonna shoot this shotgun. It is too short for me out of the box. When it comes to drop, it is adjustable, as is the cast off for a right-handed shooter, cast on for a left-handed shooter. It has some shims that are already in the gun, typically probably set up for a right-handed shooter, but it is adjustable. A little confusing. Let's go ahead and take off the stock and see what we're working with and get this set up for me. So in an attempt to figure out the Retay system for fitting your shotgun, we took it all apart, trying to understand it. It appears that you should have a cast shim. Actually, you should have 4 of them, A, B, W, and Z, but we have no W. So we'll go with the Z. So here's how we put it back together. You start with your drop shim that goes on nice and slick like this, and then we go with our cast shim. So I'm right-handed. I'm gonna put it on with the right-handed facing towards me, so we make sure we put that on the right way. There's only one shim for cast, so you're kind of stuck with either left or right-hand cast. Can't really adjust that, but there are different shims for drop. Unfortunately, the amount of drop that I would like in this gun is going to be achieved with the W shim, which I do not have. Now, here's the important part, and here's kind of a pain in the rear end. So our stock goes back on, and now we have to find the equivalent matching steel locking plate. Well, I put the Z shim on, so we got to go with the Z right-handed. Okay, perfect. That's in there. There is a locking nut that needs to go in. I use a needle nose pliers because I can't get my fingers all the way in there. Work it over the bolt, boom, and then somehow if you can get this 13 millimeter socket with an extension is what I have and what you're gonna need. Work that on there. Tighten her down nice and tight like. Firm and snug. We're back up. Put the butt pad back on. Most manufacturers will recommend that you don't use a drill to do this, but I use a drill, so sue me. You just gotta be careful if you do use a drill to not over tighten. We hot to trot. So now with the stock back together, I'm taking a look at it. My drop is 1.5 inches, and at the heel, just over 2 inches. So we got a little over 1 inch drop. I can make that work. So I like the adjustability. Every gun should be adjustable to fit you, because if it doesn't fit you, you'll shoot like junk. Since gun fit is so important, and I think every gun should be able to be tailored to some extent to fit the shooter, very important. I wish it was a little easier to understand. Now, Retay does have a manual. They laid it out there. If you actually go through it, you can figure it out. There's other manufacturers that don't have a manual that says what goes where. It's incredibly difficult to understand. It's a big piece, and I wish manufacturers would spend a little bit more time and attention on gun fit. The last thing we're gonna take a look at here with specs is trigger pull. Now, before I put it on the scale, I do like just to feel what that trigger feels like. Feels okay. Oh, nice. 5 pounds, 7.3 ounces. Felt a little heavier than that to me, but let's try it again. Woo! 4 pounds, 14.6 ounces. What are we doing here? 5 pounds, 7.1 ounces. We're seeing some good variation there. One last pull. We'll get a 4 pull average on this one. 5 pounds, 2.7 ounces. So we have an average of 5 pounds, 4 ounces. I'm pretty happy with that. It didn't feel quite that light to me. Maybe it's the sponginess on the front side of the trigger. Yeah, it's not that spongy actually. It's pretty crisp, pretty light. I'm pretty happy with it so far. Now this is a $1,700 shotgun, between $1,600 and $1,700 shotgun, so I'm gonna have higher expectations for it. It's gonna have to perform at a higher level than say a $900 shotgun. And so far, so good. That is it for specs. Next up, we're gonna take a look at the ergonomics of this gun. The form, the fit, the function, the balance, all of those things. This is one of my favorite categories to look at. Let's start on the back end. It has a micro cell recoil pad that is, there's a little give to it, but not much. It's fairly hard. It's a nice looking pad. It looks like they've got some neat design in there. Functionality wise, I can't tell you how good it's gonna be. I would probably go ahead and replace this with the Falcon Strike, maybe. I love my Falcon Strikes. I don't put them on just every gun unless I feel like this could really benefit. We'll know more when we get to recoil in just a minute. The stock is just a polymer stock. When it comes to the texture, this texture is a little bit different. They're just straight lines. We'll know more when we really get shooting this thing. I don't mind the way it feels. You know, it feels like it might be a little slippery in spots, but we'll know more. But it's got that just a straight line grips texture on the fore end too here, you can see. When it comes to the trigger is moderately sized, should be big enough to get gloves in there. It's not oversized, but it is pretty decently sized. The safety is a crossbolt safety on the rear of the shotgun right here. It is rather small and kind of tight to get into. Not the easiest to press, but you would get real used to it after shooting it for a while. Now, one of the features of this shotgun that Retay really prides themselves on is the trigger group is removable, not with the standard pins in the receiver, but with a push button. You're supposed to be able to just push the button and pull it out. Now, here's what I found. I do take all guns apart before I review them and clean them. I really struggled with this. They say you can push the button too hard, but I have not found that to be the case. And I'm a newbie at this. I have not done this a bunch of times, I did see it demonstrated at the Retay booth at SHOT Show, and they made it look pretty easy. But I have just struggled to get this out. Now you do want to do it with the bolt forward. To prove my point, if I were to take my punch, it comes out really slick. Triggers out. I like that. I like the idea. I like the concept, but it seems like it's a lot more difficult than they make it seem. And maybe I got a new gun. It could be a little tough. It needs to be worn in a little bit. Trigger to go back in. I found you need to push the bolt release, and then it just slides right back in, clicks in. I do think that's a cool feature. I really like it. Ooh, I almost feel like I got it. Oh, there it is. Haha. My finger hurts. Like I really had to get in there and push hard. Either way, neat feature. Now the gun is serviceable. It's open to the receiver. You can look in there, take a gander. I don't know what you're gonna do with it, but when you do take the gun apart, and we'll look at it more at breakdown, that is kind of a cool feature. No pins to mess with, making it easier to service in the field, because everything else, you can break down a shotgun and take it apart to get inside that receiver. But the trigger group, you're gonna need a punch or something like that to get in there. Moving on. Nice large bolt handle, easy to get your hands around. I really like the bolt release on this. They did a great job. You see that lever on the bolt handle? I mean, you can just easily smack that one finger. Nice close. The loading port is milled out a little bit. Pretty easy to get your hands in there. There are some sharper edges. It's not terrible. So another feature of the Masai Mara is this quick unload feature. So if you have one in the chamber, you can turn the gun upside down, press down the feed ramp, slide your finger up towards the shell. I learned this the hard way. And then take the bolt release and pull it away from the receiver. And the shell just comes out like that. Easy unload magazine. I think that's pretty cool. I have not seen that before. As we keep moving forward here, forend, kind of just modern, sharp lines. As far as grip, I like it. You can point a finger if you want. You can hold it like this if you want. You can go short, you can go long. I tend to like to be a little bit shorter on my grip. Forend cap has some nice grooves in it, making it fairly easy to take off. We have a flat rib, flat hunting style rib they call it, but the top of the receiver is swamped. It's got a groove channel that lines up with the top of the rib. I like that. Vented rib, 8mm, little fiber on the front. No need for the fiber, in my humble opinion, but it has the fiber nonetheless. The gun comes with 5 choke tubes. They are flush mount tubes. I have a cylinder in there, so it goes from cylinder, improved cylinder, mod, improved mod, full. I didn't get a chance to replace this with Carlson's yet, but here's what I do. If it's a gun that I am gonna keep, that I'm like, I like this gun, I'm probably gonna shoot it a bunch more, I always put Carlson's in it. If you're ever interested in Carlson's choke tubes, I do have a link in the description with a discount code. So let's continue on and see if this shotgun is Carlson's approved. Weight-wise, balance-wise, it's pretty well balanced. It does feel a little rearward heavy. Of course, you know, gas guns always feel a little front heavy. They got all the gas components in here. As we'll see in breakdown, there's nothing under here. So it might be a little whippy, I don't know. It's a real comfortable gun, fairly light. I'm concerned about recoil because it is a lighter gun. Let's look at recoil and reliability. Enough talking, let's shoot. I've been rocking these Walkers Bluetooth. I love them. Also, discount code and link in the description. Let's just take a nice, easy shot. Ooh, baby, that's got some kick to it. Let's try one off the machine. Wow. It's been dust and clays when I've been shooting. I shot a bit off camera. Hitting pretty well. Let's take one off the one machine. Still looking at recoil. Don't you ever come back. Can't believe that one got away. One more. There we go. Gotta have the right move to the clay to hit it well. It's an inertia gun, okay? That's what I'll say. I'm getting a lot of punch for target loads. I mean, these are 1 1/8 traveling at 1,200 feet per second. I shouldn't be getting punched like I am. I'll try some hunting loads here in a second. Let's just look at reliability quick. Ooh, yeah, I like that. There's a lot of inertia guns that shoot just fine from the shoulder, but if they're not in their optimal operating state? Will they function reliably? Struggling with the words this morning. The answer, target loads? No. This is a 3.5 inch though, so I'm not completely surprised. And it's a new gun, maybe a little bit tighter. Let's try some 3-inch shells. Federal, black clouds, traveling at 1,450 feet per second, 1.25 ounces. Because after all, this is a hunting shotgun. This is what you would be shooting. Here we go, 2 machine. Let's let that duck get out there a little bit. Oh boy, those target loads were punching a lot more than I feel they should. That didn't feel terribly bad. Let's try a crossing duck here. Oh, that one punched me a bit. Oh gosh. Man, it shoots nice. Like when it hits stuff, it hits it well. Fair amount of recoil here. Definitely gonna recommend Falcon Strike on this one. Put that on the back. That would help some. You know, it didn't cycle over the head with the target loads. Will it with the black cloud? Oh, getting my shoulder workout in this morning. So as I expected, it's a little heavier on the recoil compared to other inertia guns. It's right in there. I don't see a big difference. It is maybe a little bit lighter than some other inertia guns. You're gonna experience a little bit more felt recoil. The recoil pad is nice looking, sharp looking, but I don't think it does a whole lot from the standpoint of actually helping you with that felt recoil. As far as reliability, I think this will be a reliable gun. One of the things I'm going to test with reliability is, like I mentioned earlier in the video, a lot of inertia guns, if you just pull them back a little bit and go like that, they fall out of battery. Is this one? Shoots just fine. Yeah, they have a torsion spring, however you say that, that is supposed to keep it in battery, and even if it comes back just a little bit, I like that. That's impressive. I think that is a great feature. One of the things I don't like about inertia shotguns, and my son shoots one all the time, is, you know, he goes and he's like, is there a shell in there? He checks it and doesn't let it slam. He just kind of lets it go. It won't shoot. This gun does. And I think that's a really cool added feature. All right, let's break this Masai Mara down, see what we're working with. We're gonna kind of be talking about quality of build at the same time. There's some interesting things to point out with this shotgun that make it different than others as well. So like most inertia guns, the fore-end barrel come off at the same time. As you can see here, when you take the barrel off, the top of the receiver is actually integrated right with the barrel. So with the barrel off, top half of our receiver is off as well. We can bring this bolt forward. Now, I believe you should be able to take the bolt out, the inertia plus bolt, and let's see if I can get this trigger for a second time. There we go. Still getting used to it, but there's the Masai Mara. Quick breakdown. I like that. If I can get a hang of that push button trigger, maybe it'll loosen up here a little bit over time. We're broke down. I mean, look how easy to access. Looking at quality of build, I think we got a lot of good stuff going on here. One of the things is this barrel is deep bore drilled, meaning they take a solid piece of steel and they drill it all the way through. It's not hammer forged. Hammer forging has been done for a lot of years. I guess one of the problems is with hammer forging, you get imperfections and a little more weakness out of the barrel. And that's why some companies will do methods that kind of help correct for hammer forging. So what Retay claims is that by deep bore drilling, they get straighter barrels that shoot more true. And we're gonna look at that. We're gonna shoot a pattern and then maybe we'll shoot the competitor and see what pattern difference we get. There's a lot of variables, right? Choke tubes make a difference, all that. But well, we'll just put it on paper and see how true it does shoot. One of the other things is they have out of the factory a lengthened forcing cone. That's that tapered area right after, you know, going from the chamber to the parallel section that tapers down. Now, if that tapers too quickly, you get deformation of pellets and some erratic pellets and whatnot, more flyers. So the idea behind it is lengthen that forcing cone, you get better patterns. Again, we'll put that to the test. Not in probably a deep, deep way, but we'll shoot a pattern or two, see what we end up with. But otherwise, looking at this gun, quality of build is really good from what I'm seeing. There's no plastic on the trigger group. I'm not a big, it can't be plastic guy. Like a plastic trigger group, I've never had an issue with one breaking. It maybe lightens the load a little bit. I think they went through a lot of work to make sure this is a solid shooting gun. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. Let's see how this goes back together. And just like that, holy smokes. That is one of the simplest guns I've ever taken apart. Now, if Retay wanted to take it next level, if they could come up with a 4-end cap that was like a click system, like it clicked and then just came off, kind of like the Beretta A400 Extreme Plus, this would be sweet. Are we gonna look at some patterns here or what? I say we shoot this, put it on paper, see how true this is. I'll switch out to a tighter choke and we'll shoot on paper. Since this is a hunting gun to pattern, we're gonna be shooting the Federal Black Clouds. 197 pellets, let's put it on paper, see what we get. Pow! So I'm using a new target here. It's kind of cool. I'll probably make a video about it in the future. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a photo and it's gonna analyze it. So according to this, we are 2.9 inches to the right and 1.2 inches high. Now, if you're shooting true patterns, you wanna shoot 3 to 5 of them and kind of get an average. 57.9% of the pellets were within this 30-inch circle. So what it does is it takes the center of your pattern, draws a 30-inch circle, how many pellets landed within that. I input how many pellets were in this shot, 197. Let's see how that compares to a competitor. So now we have a competitor's gun, same distance, same ammo, factory modified choke. Let's see if there's a difference. Oh, now this is just one shot. Like, don't take this as gospel. I could make a whole video about patterning guns and we could look in depth. But one shot, we're 8.2 inches left, 10.8 inches high, and we had 52.3% pellets in the 30-inch circle. When you compare those two right off the bat, the point of impact was a lot truer on the Retay. The Retay had 57.9% pellets in that 30-inch circle, and the competitor had 52%. So less pellets, point of impact was way different. This is a very preliminary test, only one pattern. So far, I'd say I'm pretty impressed with how true that gun shot. One shot in. Comment below if you'd like to see a more in-depth analysis between some different guns, and what guns do you want to see me compare with patterns. Well, this just in, I just got a text from Retay saying that they have a cut down service so they can cut the stock, add an aftermarket pad to it for under $100. That's an option, and it sounds like there will be shims available in the future or spacers to adjust the length of pull. So, straight from Retay, you got it. All right, it is time for my favorite part, and that is speed shooting. How fast can I shoot 3 clays on the clock? Why is this important? I say it in every video. It's not important to see, hey, how fast can you pull the trigger? It's important to see, how can you manage recoil? What's the pointability like? Take a look at that trigger, see if there's any issues. It all comes together in speed shooting. So let's get on the clock and let's go fast. Hey, hit all 3 right off the bat. I cheated a little bit, threw a little early. I have a tendency to do that. I shot a 9.3, so that's how I know I cheated. One thing I'm noticing, earlier in the video in Ergonomics, I talked about the grip angle, distance from the grip to the trigger, and kind of how that's, my hand rubs on the side. Well, I'm noticing that big time right now. Part of the reason is my hands are raw from a video I shot yesterday. It's all calloused and sore. But yeah, my finger is just really rubbing where the stock meets the receiver. There we go. That was a good feeling one. 115, that's gonna be hard to beat. I had good timing on the throw, but I'm still a 2.4, 2.3 split. I mean, a fast split for me is like a 1.5, 1.6. That's incredibly fast. Generally only get that out of gas guns, but I think I should be able to get this down to a 1.9, 2.0. So I'm gonna ignore the timing of the throw, and I'm just gonna see if I can get quicker splits, recover from the recoil, and shoot. 2.2, 2.3. It is a 3.5-inch gun. They're not gonna shoot as fast as a 3-inch gun. Not a huge deal. Generally, you're not shooting as fast as I'm shooting at game, but the idea here is, can I manage the recoil? Can I get on target quickly? 25, 26. I was speed shooting yesterday with an unnamed gun, and I was able to get 16s when I was really fast, 17, 18s on a regular basis. Slow for me was like a, what, 20? Was kind of slow there. There we go. That's about as clean as I can get it with this gun, about as fast as I can get it. 2.3, 2.4 splits. You're not buying this for the blazing speed. I can tell you that much. So what have we learned about the Masai Mara? Well, it is a solid gun, packed full of features, well made. A lot to love about it. Deep bore drill barrel, shoots pretty true in the little bit that we shot it. Really like how it's put together. Some things that were maybe drawbacks for me was that grip angle and the distance to the trigger. Really had a hard time getting around that trigger. It's got a nice trigger, fairly light trigger. Was impressed with that. Cool features like the unload. I really like that. Like the trigger that pops out, that's cool. Recoil pad was maybe lacking a little bit in my opinion. A lot of guns they just manufacturers don't spend a lot on their recoil pads. I would definitely consider putting a Falcon Strike on this with how much the recoil was. I definitely noticed that in the speed shooting. I noticed the recoil, I noticed the trigger, just hard for me to really feel good about pulling the trigger when my hands rubbing on the receiver the whole time. And I noticed I could not shoot incredibly fast. Part of that's due to the recoil. Part of that's due to this being a 3.5-inch gun, but really slow splits. A lot of 2.3s, 2.4s. Couldn't shoot it quite as fast as I'd like, but overall, I just believe this is a solid gun. It's worth consideration if it fits you well and if it feels good. I mean, that's a big thing, is that fit. Does it fit you? Does this grip fit you? Can you pull that trigger reasonably? Or are you gonna have the same issue I am? So that is a deep dive look into the Masai. So that's a deep dive look into the Masai. So that's a deep dive look into the Masai. What the So that's a deep dive look at the Masai Mara 12 gauge shotgun. Hope you enjoyed this review. Remember, whether you're in the field or in life, you're only gonna hit those shots you're laser focused on. So live target focused. See ya!